Hey everyone, Turd Flinging Monkey, how you doing? A lot of people have responded very negatively to my video, The Matrix of Tribal Identity. I've even been accused of being a social Marxist, which is hilarious as I'm a libertarian. But after interacting with some folks in the comments section, I want to further elaborate on tribalism and what I did and did not mean in my previous video. Tribalism is bad because it causes people to judge others based on superficial differences such as skin color, nationality, and religion. Race, as it pertains to skin color, is entirely superficial. White people come in several different skin tones from albino to darker than some black people, especially if those black people are mixed race. White people have all kinds of different hair and eye colors, and yet we define races by skin color or the slant of the eyes in the case of Asians. It's entirely superficial. We could just as easily have 50 different races from all the different kinds of hair and eye combinations. According to our tribalist thinking, someone who's half black and half white is considered all black, and not a separate race. This is curious because it basically means that when white people have children with other races, it adds to the other race and takes away from the white race. However, stop and think about how fucking retarded that is. I previously used the example of Hispanics, which are a mixed race consisting of South American native people such as the Aztecs and the white European Spanish. What's interesting about Hispanics is that they are considered Caucasian, i.e. white people. When you fill out a form in the US, and maybe it's different in other countries, I don't know, but Hispanic is not an option under race. If you're Hispanic, you mark your race as white, and then mark a second box stating that you're Hispanic or Latino. Thus, Hispanics are white due to the racial mixing from hundreds of years ago. However, President Barack Obama is black even though his mom was white. Why? Does that make sense logically? No, it's about racial politics. It's about dividing black people and white people into different groups and setting them against each other so that both groups can be farmed by the tribal leaders more easily. Racism is stupid, ignorant, unproductive, and self-inhibiting. That's what I was saying in my video. Now here's what I'm not saying. I am not advocating cultural relativism. There are clearly cultures that promote success and the behaviors that lead to success, and there are cultures that promote failure and the behaviors that lead to failure. A lot of times culture and race are intertwined, but that's an illusion. There's nothing genetic about culture. And if you happen to live in a culture that promotes failure, but you perpetuate that culture out of a sense of racial solidarity, and you attack those that attempt to help and educate you as racist, you're a fucking retard. You are plugged straight into the matrix of racism, and you're only hurting yourself. Now, having said all that, I understand how ingrained culture is and how difficult it is to change. Look at how black men are treated by other black people simply for advocating that black people take some responsibility for themselves. If you really want to see the knives come out, look at how they treat black Republicans. This is what I meant by the matrix of racism. If you're blindly devoted to your race or your culture, no matter what, you are flushing all your human potential down the toilet and allowing yourself to be used by people like Al Sharpton and groups like the Democrat Party for their own power. You are a battery to be used and discarded once you served your purpose. That is the Matrix. Also, moving on to nationalism. I made the point that being anti-nationalist does not mean that I believe that all systems of government are equal. I'm a libertarian and I want the system of government that maximizes my personal freedom. Anyone who believes I'm a communist obviously hasn't watched my numerous videos on the welfare state. The example of nationalism I pointed to in my other video was between the United States and Canada. Both countries have the same systems of representative government. Hell, our militaries coordinate with each other. We're essentially the same country, and you're likely to see greater differences between the average Californian and the average Texan than between the average American and the average Canadian. Again, culture is what's important, not nationalism. If you're mindlessly defending your nation no matter what because of national pride, that's no better than defending your race because of racial solidarity. You're flushing your entire human potential right down the toilet and allowing yourself to be manipulated by propaganda and to be used by governments for their own power and gain. Now, if your country is attacked, fucking unleash hell on those that attacked you. Turn their country into an irradiated parking lot. I don't give a shit. I'm talking about blind devotion for which you don't benefit. The purpose of my other video is to get people to question their relationships and associations and to determine whether they benefit from them. Some relationships and associations are beneficial, and that's fine. Some relationships and associations are not beneficial and are in fact harmful to the individual, but propaganda and social pressure are used to keep men enslaved to them. Marriage is the perfect example of an association that doesn't benefit men, but that men are pressured to engage in and sacrifice themselves for. Race is another. Nationalism is another. Religion is another. If religion truly benefits you, that's awesome, and I want you to go forth and preach the gospel. However, if you were living in Ireland, and one group of white Irish Christians declared war on another group of white Irish Christians, and you were expected to participate in the bloodshed, I would hope that you would see through the tribalism and see how fucking retarded that sounds. If you were living during the American Civil War, and you literally saw fathers fighting against their sons and brothers fighting against their brothers, all in the name of whichever state you happen to live in, I would hope that you would question that. You could be totally anti-slavery, but if you happen to live in Virginia, you were supposed to go to war for the South and kill your own family that happened to live in Maryland, and thus fought for the North. That's nationalism, and it's fucking retarded. 622,000 American soldiers died during the Civil War, 49% of all American war casualties in the history of America to this present day. How many of those soldiers genuinely believed in slavery or the abolishment of slavery, and how many simply fought blindly for their tribe? That is the Matrix. So in closing, just to make it absolutely clear, differences in culture and systems of government are not trivial. Cultures and governments that promote success and freedom are objectively better than those that promote failure and dependency. There are things worth fighting for and there are things worth dying for. There are also things not worth fighting for and not worth dying for. Here is a good rule of thumb to tell the difference between the two. If an idea, relationship, or an association is good, it will communicate its benefits directly to you. It will say exactly why and how you will benefit in tangible ways. If an idea, relationship, or association is bad, it will communicate its benefits in vague ways that may or may not materialize at some unspecified future date, or may simply invoke the quote-unquote greater good. Pay close attention to those that use the greater good as their justification. They are inevitably seeking to exploit you and use you for their own power. The greater good is the siren song that enslaves and destroys the lives of men. Watch out for it and always question. So I hope that clears things up. If you have any further questions, comments, or emotional outbursts, let me know in the comments section. Please like, favorite, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.